Hello everyone. Today we'll try to answer this question. So this question asks us to solve for V1, V2 and V3. So how do we do that in this question? So for this question we will apply the Kirchoff's loop law, which is one of the most fundamental laws for electric circuits. So how do we do that? So the first step in answering this question is to introduce loop currents in this circuit. So it is conventional for us to always assume that all loop currents flow clockwise in any circuit unless stated otherwise. So for all these three meshes we see here, we will assume that all of them are flowing clockwise. The next step is for us to formulate the voltage equations using Kirchoff's loop law. So let's look at loop number 1. So how to derive the equation? Well, we follow our convention and write down whatever value of voltage that is written there with the sign that comes first. So for example, for loop 1, you can see that the current flows through the battery through the negative terminal first. So we will write down negative 24. And then it goes through the first resistor V1 through the positive terminal. So we write down V1 with a plus in front, V1. And then next, it goes through V2 from the negative terminal. So we write down negative V2. According to Kirchoff's loop law, this equation, this loop, should equate to 0. So now, let's tidy up the equation. We will get V1 minus V2 equals to 24. So this is going to be our first equation. Let's do the same thing for loop 2. For loop 2, you can see that firstly it starts from the battery. It goes through the battery to the positive terminal, so 12 volt. And then it goes through V2 through the positive terminal this time, so plus V2. And then finally it goes through V3 through the positive terminal, so we add plus V3. And this should equate to 0 again. Tidying up the equation, we will get V2 plus V3 equals to negative 12. And this is our second equation. Let's do the same thing for loop 3. Again, look at the current flow. It flows through the battery, through the positive terminal, so plus 10. And then it passes through V3 through the negative terminal this time, so minus V3. And this should equate to 0 again. Now for the third equation, you can see that this directly gives us 10 volt for V3. So we have one answer already. We can now solve for the other two. Solving for V2 will give us negative 22 volts. And lastly, V1 should equate to 2 volts. So there you go. That's your answer. I hope you learned something from this. Thank you for watching.